Good evening, friends. Welcome to 4-4, Unit 4, Lesson 4. We're going to do multiply two-digit numbers. And we're going to be discussing two more methods of multiplication, but they're going to be consolidating the steps a little bit. And then we're going to be looking at all four methods of two-digit multiplication and practice with that chosen method. So in class, we were discussing the place value sections and partial products and how to do expanded notation forms with the area model. Tonight, we're going to talk about place value rows. And here is an example of it right here. It says it's using our place values again, but it's looking at it more as like a row. And the major difference here, if you look at it very carefully, is you're taking this first number, 43, and you're splitting it into tens and ones. So you take the second number, 67, and you multiply it by the tens and by the ones, and then you add the two products. So this is just another way to attack it. So I want you to, with me, let's try this place value rows with two different examples. And just do step by step with me. Let's take this first number, 28, and we're going to take it into tens and ones. And we're going to take the second number and place it up here. So in our first row, we're going to multiply 34 times 20. And honestly, if you do 34 times 2, then you can add the 0 because you have that 10 in there. So you're looking at 680. That's your first place value row because you multiplied by the tens. Then you're going to take 34 and multiply by 8. 24, 25, 26, 27. So you have 680 plus 272. Carry the 1, 952. And let's look at 59 times 73. I'm going to put 73 here, a 50, and a 9. Now, the major difference between place value rows and place value sections is here you're only multiplying twice. In the sections method that we did earlier today, you were multiplying 4 different times because you're splitting up the second number. But here we're keeping that second number times the tens and the second number times the ones. Go ahead and do that multiplication, press pause, and come back and check your work. Hopefully your multiplication and your addition looks similar to mine. I just did 73 times 5, which is 365, and I added that 0 in there to make it 3,650, and then I just multiplied 73 by 9. So like I said, the major difference between place value rows and the place value sections is here you're only multiplying twice. And earlier today we were doing 4 times. So now we're going to look at yet another technique or method for multiplying, but this could be the one that you really find that is the most efficient way. It's the shortcut method, and it's drawn it all out here for you so you can see how it's done. And there's 2 different ways to do the shortcut method. The shortcut method The first way is new groups above, okay? And the other one is new groups below. So in step 1, you do your regular multiplying. 7 times 3, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom. Step 2 is you multiply across. 6 times 3, which is 18, plus the 2 is 20. Then you put a 0 for a placeholder. Then you do 4 times 7 is 28. As you see, there's 2 2's here. 2 from the first time, and I usually cross that out personally because I know I've used it. So then 6 times 3 is 4 times 6 is 24, plus 2 more is 26, as you can see here. And then you're going to add that all up to 2,881. Now, the only difference between new groups below and this shortcut method above here is, as you can see, instead of putting the 2 above the tens place, it puts the 2 down here. So here you actually see the 21 very clearly. And so when you go to do the 6 times 3 is 18, you write it on top. So you're kind of seeing this, hopefully you're seeing this diagonal. Then you still do the placeholder. Then you do 28 and you do 24. But when you add now, you just add all of those numbers. So 1 plus 0, 2 plus 8 is 18. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 4 is 7, plus 1 more is 8. And then bring down the 2. It might be easier, and you have to find what you're more comfortable with, but you have to keep track of those numbers that you are regrouping into the tens and hundreds places. And this new groups below is just another option to try that. Try to remember that in your notes, it's really important to have these methods clearly labeled so that if you want to go back and find the one that makes the most sense to you, you're able to do that. So we have now gone over 4 different ways to multiply 2-digit numbers. And some of this should be reviewed from last year. Place value sections, where we have the tens separated out, the ones separated out, and each one of these squares or rectangles, you're figuring out the area for, and you multiply it all out. Okay. From this place value sections, it bleeds very nicely into the expanded notation where you're pulling apart the 67, pulling apart the 43. Then you do the tens and the tens, the 10 and the 1 and the 10, and then the ones. And you add everything up. Now, the big difference between place value sections and place value rows is you're only doing two multiplication problems as opposed to the 4 that you did here. And then the new groups above is probably this is the way we all were taught right here. This is the one that your parents will be like, oh yeah, that one looks familiar, because that's the one, and that was the only way to do your multiplication when we were kids. But, everybody's mind sees it differently. Maybe this one makes more sense to you, or the place value section makes more sense to you. You just need to find the one that makes the most sense to you and is the most efficient use of your time. It's being efficient in your multiplying and accurate. So what I want to do with you is I'm going to do the 3 different approaches that we did tonight with these 3 problems here. So I'm going to do the place value rows with 94 times 36. So if I were to do that, I would take 94 plus times 36. So if I did 36 times 90 and 36 times 4, it might look a little like Once I get my two numbers, 30 to 40, plus 144, 4, 8, 3, 3, 3,384. Okay, so I'm going to do 73 times 45 with new groups above shortcut method. And then I will do 69 times 82 with new groups below. So if I'm doing 3 times 5, that's 15. 35, 36, including this one up here, placeholder. 4 times 3 is 12. I've already used this one. That's how I help myself to remember. Oh, which one did I use? 4 times 7 is 28, plus one more is 29. It's so important with the shortcut method to make sure that you're lining up all your numbers ever so neatly. The slightest move to the left or right, and you can have a total mess on your hands. So this answers 3,285. Now with new numbers below, you would say, okay, we would say 9 times 2 is 18. And 6 times 2 is 12. You have a placeholder. Then you're going to have 8 times 9 is 72. And then you're going to have 6 times 8 is 48. So you have your ones, you have your tens, you have your hundreds, and you have your thousands. 5,658. So you just put your 1 and then your 8. So your 1 is still in the ones place. Then you would put your 12 because it's really 120. 60 times 2 would be 120. Okay, 8 times 9 is really going to be 720 because it's 80 times 9. So you put the 7 in the hundreds place, 2 in the tens place. And then really 60 times 80 is going to be 4,800. You put it in the thousands and the hundreds. So you need to find what method works for you, and honestly, it's practice makes perfect. So we're going to be doing a lot more examples in class in the mini lesson in class. And tonight, just make sure you have a good representation of place value sections. Place value rows, and then the new groups above and the new groups below. Can't wait to multiply with you.